There's an ancient proverb I think we all need to be continuously asking ourselves the rest of our lives. It goes, what kind of tree are we planting that we know we're not going to sit in the shade of?
Kia ora e te whānau, I'm Cameron Haylock, I'm 30 years old and I'm the founder of Thanks Foundation and a filmmaker as well, and I live in Otatahi, Aotearoa. First time I started taking this kind of role seriously, working with young people and their whānau, was in 2016. I was 24, studying theology and counselling, and we were taking young people on really cool adventures, creating cool experiences and stories and memories for them within the local community that they lived in. And then kind of out of nowhere, our assistant youth pastor and my flatmate, she took her own life just after she turned 21. And it kind of flipped everything on its head for me. I got super confused. She seemed super supported from the church and from the surrounding communities that she was a part of, and she was really a big part of them all. And it kind of made me sit back and just listen and observe for the next probably 2 years. I stopped my studies. I didn't have the capacity to study at the same time as support our community and the young people that were part of our community. We're all in this place of confusion and hurt and grieving. That was when I was like, I think we need to change a few things, because a lot of the stuff we had been doing was what I had experienced 10 years prior when I was 14. But young people pretty much change every year, so and if we're not changing, or we're not becoming aware of the needs, then I think we're not doing our job properly. How can we make this simple to understand but really challenging for the culture that we're in today? We just kind of came up with a little saying that I said earlier on. How can we learn to make the person's life next to us a little bit easier? Which is kind of challenging because you have to think outside yourself. So you're naturally not putting yourself first, you're putting the other person's needs before yours. How you do that is you have to listen. You have to become aware of what's going on in their life. And so you're naturally creating this community of people that are asking better questions. You're creating this community of people that feel like they can be open and honest because the person next to them actually cares about what's going on in their life, and they want to help them and their life be a little bit easier. One thing that I've learned in the last 12 years of doing this kind of work is that honesty and vulnerability create intimacy, but there's no rules to where that can happen. It could be when you're sitting down with a counsellor, when your teacher's asking you about how your homework's going. It could be while you're out surfing. It could be while you're at a cafe. It could be around the dinner table. If we're trying to create a culture where we can be more honest and vulnerable, then we need to learn how to listen and be aware of the people next to us.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language they understand. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
Thanks Foundation has been created to journey alongside the surf, skate and snow communities, intentionally focusing on young people. It doesn't matter what cultural context those young people come from. It could be a young person that's been involved in these sports forever, or it could be a young person that never thought that having the opportunity to do any of these sports was a possibility. Our hope is that within the opportunities that we're creating, if that's a day trip, if that's an afternoon away, if that's a weekend, if that's a longer pilgrimage that we'll be focusing on, we want to see a deeper understanding of our own well-being, of how to care about our environment. We want to see a deeper understanding spiritually, culturally and socially, so that we can see diversity within these sports, and through that diversity learn and listen and become more aware of our surroundings while out really enjoying these sports and the friendships and the relationships and the stories and the memories that we're creating at the same time. Create an even richer community and culture on top of what is already there. What tree are we planting that we won't sit in the shade of? We would love to see that shade full of diversity. We would love to see that shade full of joy, full of hope, full of purpose. And we would love to see people really becoming aware and listening and learning about how to make the person's life next to them just that little bit easier.